Hey everyone.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Go ahead. Make my day.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the Second Run Reels podcast, the podcast where we don't wait 40 years to finish our reviews. I'm your host, Ken White, with my co-host, Jeffrey Genet.
Yep, I'm here.
And Dale Riley.
Hello.
Along with our special guest of the week, Pat Mallory.
Hello there, everyone!
This week we aren't being hosted at Soldiers Video Store in Ventura, California, but we will be next week. Anyways, be sure to tune into the podcast every Newsflash Friday for general movie news and Silver Screen Sunday, like today, for our weekly movie review with a guest. So, just before we get started, how's everyone doing today?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty tired, but pretty good. What about you, Jeff? How you doing?
I worked a lot. I edited a lot. I went to a concert and I saw some movies.
What movies and what'd you edit?
I saw Bohemian Rhapsody with Marco.
Was it good?
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know anything about Queen or the band. I don't really enjoy the music, but I saw the movie and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it looked at least like solid.
Yeah, it was like watching you know how like Straight Outta Compton was. It was kind of like that.
Ew.
Straight Outta
Compton was a good movie.
I don't remember the other movies I saw actually. I saw something else. It was a TV show. I don't know. And then I was editing some vlog stuff. That's all.
Vlog stuff. Cool.
Yep.
Well, you, Pat, how you doing?
I guess the same. Movies, editing, and sleeping.
It's a good combination.
It is a good combination.
It's pretty good.
Especially when you're editing and you need to think about, hey, what do I need to do? You take a power nap. The nap will tell you what to do. Every time.
Every time?
Every time the nap tells me what to do.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm not editing anything important.
What are you doing, dude? Or how are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
I said I was pretty good.
Oh.
How about you?
I'm good. I didn't sleep last night, so I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, you could tell us
I
all about
watched-
aliens now, right?
Yeah, I just watched a plethora of alien YouTube videos, and now I want to make a comedy short on alien abductions or something.
Think of it more as like a documentary on.
I'll do a Werner Herzog documentary on aliens.
Have you seen the thing called the man who's cursed to see UFOs or something like that?
No, I never heard of it.
Well, it's called something like that. The man who's cursed to see UFOs, or the man who sees UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a deep dive into someone that willingly looks for UFOs in everyday things. It's a pretty interesting study. I'd recommend that in your deep dive of aliens.
It sounds like a
It was one
Twilight
of my,
episode.
It was
Twilight
a
Zone.
episode.
Twilight Zone episode.
It was it kind of reminded me a bit for F for Fake, but instead of the two layers of hey, this exists, this doesn't exist, it opens up the table to alien abductions in a truthful manner and allows the subject to breathe and doesn't ridicule it.
Oh, so it's like a...
It's an honest investigation.
Okay. Where can I find this?
I found it on Netflix.
Okay. And what's it called again?
The man who sees UFOs, or man who's cursed to see UFOs, or something like that.
Okay. Alright. But yeah, just been up to that.
Okay.
Hey, we can talk about aliens the entire podcast. I'm fine with that.
Well, we're going to talk about Orson Welles.
I can talk about that even longer.
Dale, Jeff, it's time for the catchphrase.
What catchphrase? Let's get this reels. I thought it was an interchangeable thing. I'm supposed to say that?
Yeah.
That was kind of the segue. We're going to talk about Orson Welles. Let's get these reels rolling.
Yes!
These 40-year-old reels
Rolling.
rolling.
That's
That's
okay.
Well, I don't think you guys have stated the title of the film we're discussing. yet.
Oh,
The Other Side of the Wind.
By Orson Welles, released this year.
on
What the
Netflix.
hell?
mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
Well, I
Posthumous.
can tell you exactly how that happened.
Tell
to
us,
be
Pat.
honest. Well, after a long production hell in Hollywood and a tight fist by Oya Koder, Oya Koder, she pretty much just held on to this film. What are you saying, Ken?
I'm saying that you're a big fan of Orson Welles.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes, that's what I was whispering.
Let the
'cause you
man
can-
speak.
He's going on a tangent. I have to let them know. Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to let them know that I actually studied this subject, and Orson Welles is my favorite director.
Pat
There you go.
loves Orson Welles
I already said that. They know.
a lot.
They live.
A
So,
lot.
with her tight fist around this film, and pretty much no editor that's willing to sit down and take the time to edit this film, even though there's proof that the Criterion Collection can do this 3 times over before they can even do it. You know what I mean?
Wait, what do you
With
mean? Like they
the-
made
the Criterion Collection bought the Confidential Report, Mr. Arkadin, Orson Welles' book turned movie, and there's 3 different versions: the Criterion's versions, Orson Welles' versions, air quotations, and the studio version, the one the studio let out. And each version is completely and utterly different, but tells the same exact story a different way. And I could not help but see the same thing for Other Side of the Wind. What were the options of editing? And I think it was up to 3 cameras were rolling at a time sometimes on The Other Side of the Wind, just to get the right amount of angles, to get the right thing, to help fuel the chaos of this guerrilla footage type film. So after a long production hell, they went to other directors and they were like, okay, can you help us with this film? Steven Spielberg said no, and they thought that, hey, maybe we can keep going. 30 years later, they can't keep going. In 2015,
Something that Jeff did.
in 2015, they started this quote-unquote Indiegogo campaign to fund the Orson Welles' last film. I joined it when it was $3 million that we needed to raise. Then I watched it slowly dwindle down to $1 million, and we only were able to raise $100,000 or something like that.
That sucks.
Yeah, and then I randomly got an email from the dude that was running that campaign. I was like, yo, Netflix just seized this movie and they're going to start editing it themselves. And I was like, no, please tell me I get the film still. And I've been waiting. Like, Netflix's current acquisitions of cult mentalities has only been fueled by Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Like, ever since that nostalgia wave.
Season 2's not even that good.
Season 2's
Pretty shit.
It was pretty anticlimactic. I was like, why are they sealing up the bad guy at the, like, is he gonna come back in the 3rd one?
Oh, cool.
Which they-
More mutants. Who gives a shit?
This is the same thing I thought about Other Side of the Wind when I turned it on. It's like, okay, Netflix is going to turn this into a piece of shit. Oh, how I was wrong. I was so wrong. They kept so many good Wells cuts from his notes. I can tell that it was his notes because of the style, the pace, the mentality of
Oh, yeah.
every little tiny, minute shot.
Very fast.
So, like, let's just literally jump right into it. In the beginning of the film, the glasses fellow that's helping to run the film and getting it done, he was a good friend of Orson Welles, and I think he originally played a different character while Welles was filming it and had him be like a reporter, and then he eventually turned into the quote-unquote director of Other Side of the Wind. So when he's showing the film to, I think, one of the producers, he's wearing a blue shirt, he's wearing a red shirt, and they're sitting in completely different rows watching this film at the I guess viewing place for like productions, because it's like a legit
are you
theater.
talking about Max and the older man, right?
Yeah,
in
those
the,
names
towards the beginning of
towards
the
the
film,
beginning,
right?
Yeah.
when they're
They're
first showing the film, going, here's the proof of concept, this is the film, and the old guy's like, what's going on in this film? And he's like, oh, there's a ton of missing crap. deal with it. This is the film we have so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that
You've
shot
done it
where
before.
it's completely backed up and there's like the black bars or like pillars or something in front of the camera, and you can see them between the pillars and they're still sitting different rows.
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting metatextual whole. The screen divides people
Right.
into different opinions.
Of course.
Divides people into.
You got people who appreciate the art form and people who look for money.
Exactly. And I think that each row showed each individual person. The producer wanted money and the other guy wanted to make the film.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And this movie definitely delves deep into the studio system. The whole thing, spoilers alert, the whole thing is about getting a movie made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
especially
failing
as
to do so.
an aging director, it was a lot of people say it's a study on Orson Welles reflecting on himself.
Mm-hmm.
An aging director that's already a legend, but doesn't have a magnum opus anymore.
Mm.
That Citizen Kane haunted him for so long. He wanted to make something bigger, something better, and he thought that this Other Side of the Wind
Could be that
quell
thing.
it to make it his new magnum opus.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that? Do you think it quells it?
I think that if he was there for every step, it would have been 10 times better. But seeing it, breathing life into it, was all I needed. I would love to see an alternate cut to where it's even 2 more to T of Orson's notes, but I think they kept it very to the T to his notes, because I wouldn't deviate away from it, because most of it was edited apparently.
His notes must have been so intricate with the amount of cuts that are in that thing.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible. Like it's constantly cutting, and just the choices that are made on like what the camera
Oh yeah.
shows and what it doesn't.
I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and he was telling me how, because he's a big Orson Welles fan too, and he loves film and everything, and I was talking to him, and he said that to him the parts with all the color and the parts about the fantasy on the screen is sort of his time spent in Europe, and he feels like that a lot of this was a more of a tale of freedom from the or wanting to be free of the studio system, and that he definitely was reflecting on the time he spent in Europe, because he was able to have that freedom to do all these cuts, because originally when this movie was being made, it was being made in the 70s, and that 60s, was 60s, 70s, right? 60s. Yeah, early 70s. And that was at the cusp of the French New Wave. And of course, the French New Wave, tons of cuts. That's
you can totally see the influence in that movie.
Like Michelangelo Antonioni or whatever, who made Zabriskie Point, and the same exact house that they blew up was next door to the house that they used in Other Side of the Wind. So those two movies are quote unquote technically sisters, because they're both kind of new wave 60s art films. Both have esoteric sex scenes that just show everything, and both follow young characters that understand life in a better way afterwards. Like, there's this 16-year-old girl that they picked up in a cafe, and they had her read lines like 2 or 3 times over because she never acted in her life, pretty much. And it's like the really young girl that's kind of the girlfriend of the director, kind of making that statement of old men or nasty old men. So like having that just shows that in Hollywood you can get away with a lot as long as you live far away from everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible too, in terms of the storytelling with the with Oja Kodar's character and the other young man who was
I called him Sonny Malone from like
well, he was John Huston's character. Okay, he was Jake Hannaford's like magnum opus actor You know.
He's in the movie Other Side of the Wind, in the movie Other Side of the Wind.
Yeah. And I think it was amazing that Orson told both of their stories without words at all. They didn't talk once during the movie. I think, did Oja Kadar like speak once and that was it?
I think she spoke one time. Right?
Yeah, she spoke like
at the very
once,
end or something.
But even then, I'm not too sure. But like
the guy never spoke.
The guy for sure never spoke.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he can tell a story without having to speak, yet talking so much all the same in terms of the Hollywood studio system and how the European system is much better because there's so much more artistic freedom. You know, it says a lot with all the words that it does have and all the words that it doesn't have, and that's how you know that's how you know someone achieves pure cinema, when they can tell a whole story about someone or something without even saying a word.
So you're saying that all early silent films are pure cinema?
Well, in my opinion, no, but that is what is majorly considered like pure cinema, is when it's understandable without spoken word.
Universal language.
Yeah, like a lot of Tarkovsky movies are very poetic, and people would definitely call that pure cinema.
Even like if you go back to some of those silent films, like they get a whole story across in an hour and a half, and even those like little title cards where they have the little sentences. Like I watched a whole hour and a half movie, and there were probably only like 3 or 4 title cards in it, and still got a whole entire story across.
Like I watched The Birth of a Nation. I watched the whole thing.
Which cut?
3 hours.
The
3-hour cut. And you know what? Although it's a racist movie and it's a you know, it's a movie of its time, it is a good movie in all parts. It tells a story well, and it has interesting shots for the time, and it did everything that it was supposed to do, and it did it well. The same thing with Dr. Caligari. That one's fantastic. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, you know. Excellent use of German expressionism.
Speaking of German expressionism, the whole I Have Your Pants chase sequence that they have towards the end of the film, where they go inside this like cacophony of shadows and walls, and the lines of the shadows just intersect in this beautiful manner to where you can't really tell what's going on. And that entire sequence, again, is so silent, so well understood. It's like, wait, is this the sex that they're having?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question you can ask.
I really like that scene in the car, not only because you know I gotta see Oja Kadar naked, and it's a sex part.
Lot.
But it's honestly that part and the whole part where she's in the bar is so like hypnotizing and sexy. Like I was just like, holy shit, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I was turned on. You know, that movie made me feel things, but it was so beautifully put together. The deep reds and all these other colors, so great.
Her fair skin when she's like in the bathroom and she's dripping wet and she's stripping in front of the 16-year-old girl,
right? And
then she's drinking her can, and then she throws the can across the floor, and you follow the can. And that was just a beautiful shot. And then next thing you know, Oja's getting naked, and then you're like, okay, what's going on? Is she going to seduce the little girl? No. She throws the shirt at the little girl, and the little girl picks up the shirt, throws it over her face, and is like, I am now a superhero. So Oja just comes over with a little ice cube she had from the soda, places it in her mouth, and all I think is that little girl died. Just waterboarded that little girl with an ice cube. What the fuck? That's all I could think of was that little girl just slowly dying because of Oja.
Yeah, but it's such like it's a great scene. That scene. That's it's so seductive.
I couldn't.
It's like I couldn't take my eyes off of it.
But apparently, there's a 7-minute cut of the entire sex scene in the car where she's cheating on her boyfriend, like and all that. And I was just curious, why 7 minutes? Did I know Oya was like, oh, this is my film to explain how I feel about film, and I brought in the sex for Orson, and I'm like, yeah, you kind of did bring in the sex, but it's all him still.
It's 7 minutes in heaven.
7 minutes in a car. Oh, God.
Did she actually have sex with that actor?
Mm-mm.
No,
it's all dry humping apparently.
All right, I didn't think so, but you know.
With the amount she gets naked in that movie, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
The quote that cameras don't like the actors; it just stares at them. That's how I felt about this movie. All I was doing was staring at Oya.
Yeah, like it felt like we were just watching her. Like I didn't feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I felt like I was watching the process of making a movie, to be honest. Seeing the actress give her all in this role, and this director is just sitting around fucking it up during a production party.
Mm-hmm.
Because the director is like, oh, I'm old, I'm tired, and I'm just going to watch my film and probably not even finish it. Like, I don't think the in-film director ever finished Other Side of the Wind, which I find to be highly ironic because Orson Welles never finished Other Side of the Wind. So it turns into this whole 4 layers of film.
It was many ways a mirror.
Yeah.
Didn't I might be wrong about this, but didn't at the beginning of the movie they said that the director of the film committed suicide? What was his name?
No, what happened was Jake Hannaford, who John Huston played, was leaving his birthday party, or after the morning after he was leaving, and he drove off and he got in a car accident and then he died. That's how the in-film director.
Okay. Yeah,
Orson Welles died of a heart attack, I think.
Okay, because they mentioned that in the beginning, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, so then it's going to lead up to that, and then they never went back to that.
They did at the very, very end when
he goes back to his actor's place, and then he just drives off or something like that.
Yeah,
we just assume that he died.
We assume that he dies right after that.
Yeah, okay.
He gets in a car crash.
If you know Hollywood legends and Hollywood lore and old school Hollywood from back then, you'll understand even more because there's a female reporter based off an actual film reporter of that time that was female. I can't remember. There was actually 3 to 4 real movie directors in that film playing themselves.
Well, John Huston didn't play himself, but
he technically was a real film director, though.
Yeah, no, he was 100%. What other film directors were in there?
Can't remember their names.
Was his main assistant a film director?
The one with the glasses?
Yeah.
No, he was an old friend of Orson Welles. Kind of.
Because he's the film director in the movie.
I think he was the actor-comedian friend of Orson's. And then at the dinner table in black and white, when they're just sitting around, those guys with the beards, those are the directors.
Dennis Hopper was in...
Dennis Hopper, yes. He was one of them.
Which one was he? Was he in the car in the beginning? I couldn't spot him out.
The car in the beginning...
With the one with John Huston in it, I think.
Okay, I thought he was on the bus with the
It might have been
the
that.
dummies.
Oh, it might have been that then.
Where or
because I couldn't spot him out with all
true
because they were all makeup.
What was the name of the creepy guy that gave that really raunchy monologue on the bus?
What do you mean?
The really raunchy monologue on the bus. It's like something.
Yeah, it was in the beginning. I know what he's talking about. I don't remember if that guy ever popping up in the movie again. But I think when they brought the teacher, when the teacher came in, he was in that scene, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking. I'm not too sure.
But yeah, this film has pretty much sated my appetite for a slow burn. Like, thoroughly, because, like, if you sit down and watch it, you don't really see the time go by, which is a good thing for a film. And when you're lost in 3 to 4 different timelines, you will never feel that pace because, one, you're just highly attached to the emotions of your characters that you're watching. And when you're just seeing this old director going, okay, I can do this, I can make my film, you kind of feel for him as the filmmakers that we are, to be like, yeah, we can do this together.
Yeah.
it's a film for all film buffs.
Oh yeah. You definitely get the empathetic and sympathetic feeling when it's just kind of all falling apart at the end, and you're just like, oh fuck, you know?
Mm-hmm. I've had those projects.
Yeah, because it's like all this progress,
it's gone,
and it's just fucking gone. And that's it. Like that's really disheartening. And then just to die right after immediately. Mm-hmm. It's poetic. It's really poetic.
Die with your art.
Yeah, pretty much. Die dreaming, I suppose. But the movie was incredibly shot. Of course, Orson Welles, but
mostly shot on a either handheld tripod or wheelchair.
Yeah. It definitely. It was. I want to say Orson Welles was trying to do the best of French New Wave. I think he did. I'm not saying that as an insult. I think he did it very well. Mm-hmm. I know it's a strong claim to say that. There's a ton of great French New Wave movies. You know, Pierre Lufaux, Contempt, Breathless. Of course, I could go on, but I don't know. I just really appreciate The Other Side of the Wind. It's so good because it knows when to cut fast and knows when to take its time. Like all the serious and sad parts are sort of in black and white, and all the fantastical parts all in color, and that's prevalent throughout the beginning of it too. Because when they're in the car and they're driving down the fast road and it's fun, that's all in color. But when all the truth of the matter comes into play, everything starts to turn into black and white, and it's all quick cuts, and it's all. It reminds me of like how the industry is. It's quick like that, and there's cameras everywhere, and everyone's watching you. Everyone's trying to see what you're saying, you know. And then you have these conversations which are very slow, and they're not quickly cut, and they're personal. The only times when we get that are those times and in film, which is The Other Side of the Wind, of course. You know, that takes its time, and that's because it's a fantasy too. But back to how it was shot. Very beautifully shot. You could pick any frame from that movie, and it's fantastic. I gotta say, my favorites from there are probably the one with John Huston, where he's talking about how God is a woman, and it's like, besides the sex, how could you tell us apart? Just his face and that light with the low angle camera. Beautiful shot. He looks insane. It's fantastic. That, and I love the one where it's inside The Other Side of the Wind, and it's Audrey Kadar, and she's just standing there, and there's like this wooden bridge, and it breaks, and it just lands into the most perfect spot
in the foreground.
In the foreground.
That was my favorite shot. That was a beautiful looking shot. Like, it was in the trailer, I think. That was one of the things I saw that, and I was like, well, this looks kind of interesting.
That was executed so well.
Yeah.
So perfectly.
But this movie, this is a movie that I think that I can't have like enough like respect for or anything. Like everything you guys have said. It's got amazing cinematography, acting, it's doing all these inventive things with the medium of film. But for me, it wasn't a movie that I could properly engage with for some reason. It's more of a personal thing. It's not a problem with the movie itself. I think it's more me, but I just didn't I don't know, I couldn't like connect it's not like I didn't know what was happening. I knew it was happening. It's just it was a little bit too slow of a burn for me, and some of the parts were a little almost too surrealist for me, but like I understood it and everything. It's not like it was going over my head. It's just it wasn't for me, you know. It was not my cup of tea.
It was not an Orson Welles film, to be honest. It was an Audrey Kadar movie, to be honest, because I think that she pulled a lot of the strings more than he did to be like, this needs to happen, that needs to happen. And that's why I think she had such a covetous grasp on this film for so long. Not because it showed too much of her, but because of how much she put into the film herself. And I think that a lot of the artsy-fartsy mumbo-jumbo was from her.
But all of that was really good at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a fantastic film.
But I'm just giving her due...
Oh, due diligence, yeah.
Due diligence, due respect, because she is very talented. She was a beautiful muse for Orson at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But...
fantastic in After Fake. That whole ending with the 17 minutes or 15 minutes where they're talking about how... about these Pablo Picasso paintings, and it's all a lie. It's acted very well. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, what about you? I'm curious what you thought.
You've been quiet this whole time.
You've been really quiet.
I really haven't had much to say about it, honestly.
Let's hear it.
I know you guys... Well, I kind of agree with Dale. It was a movie that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I mean... I like the way it was made. I like that all these different directors and producers and people in the industry came together to get this movie done. I like how... like the basic backstory of the film, and I like what you were saying about it. It kind of made me take a look at those scenes more and kind of understand what was going on in them. But like it kind of took me all day to watch it just because it was so slow, and I couldn't really get into it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's very talky, and it's like it's kind of. There are points where it's kind of hard to really keep up with what's exactly happening, because there's so many people, different people talking, coming in and out.
Yeah, there were like points where I wasn't sure what was even going on,
but,
like what they were even talking about. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. It's just...
what was it?
I forgot what I was going to say.
The mockumentary feel of the entire film is, I think, was what threw you guys off.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I've never seen an Orson Welles movie before. This is my first Orson Welles movie.
I'm gonna fucking...
I have a bunch.
Pat's angry.
I gave you Citizen Kane.
Yeah, I know.
4 years ago.
I have it on my computer. I still haven't watched it.
I'm gonna punch you.
I haven't had any interest to watch them. So now that I've seen this, I'll go and I'll look at all these other ones because I have a bunch of them that I want to watch.
F for Fake's really great.
His gateway film was supposed to be the magnum opus, not the artsy fartsy I'm done with film.
This is his new magnum opus, though.
Yes, I totally agree that this is his magnum opus.
Do you know who...
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it, to be completely honest with you.
No, it's not his magnum opus. It's his swan song.
Swan song.
Much better word.
But more specifically, like, I don't know, do you have any other kind of specific thoughts on
Swan
anything?
song? What is this? Phantom
of
the
Paradise? There were a couple shots that I liked.
I would actually...
It's definitely a movie made for people who really like movies.
Going on, I guess.
Who like movies. Like, this isn't for the average moviegoer to watch. Because they will not be able to comprehend a lot of it, probably.
Yeah.
It will go over everybody's head.
But those that like absurdist humor will find a lot.
There's a lot going on.
I'd say it went over your guys' head.
Well, I don't know. I think it kind of did. And I was afraid going into this review. I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna say I didn't like this movie," and you guys are gonna guillotine me.
No, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I didn't.
Half of the table's divided.
Well, it's more of like a diagonal line right now.
It's still half.
Nope.
Because there's 4 of us.
But look.
You know what? I was right. They are retards.
Anyways, were you gonna say something, Pat?
I was going to ramble about mockumentaries.
You know Alejandro Jodorowsky?
Okay.
Did you ever see the documentary about how he was going to make Dune?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, with Pink Floyd as the band.
And how
Orson
Welles
was attached to it for so long. I would have came so hard when that movie came out. You
know how he got Orson Welles to
because Orson Welles needed money to fund this film?
No, because he saw Orson Welles at I think he was in Italy or something like that, or France or something like that. And he saw Orson Welles there, and he goes, "You have to be in my movie." And Orson's like, "No, I don't really want to do that." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Okay, well, what if I get the chef here to cook for you every day that you're on set. Same wine, everything. And then he agreed.
But seriously, I think that the easiest way to Orson Welles was food. Because I think it is what killed him.
Oh, yeah, he was a glutton.
Oh, definitely eating 2 steaks and having a fucking Negroni. I tried doing that, and I...
Hey, you know what? If he enjoyed it, though, at least he lived happy with it, you know? Food's good. I love food, obviously, because I'm fat. But...
Wait. There's no weight on the air. We're all weightless right now.
Okay. Well, I'm fat. Anyways.
Waves going through the space... Time.
Gravity's heavier on you than us. How about that?
Alright.
Whoa, this is heavy. Is that a problem with gravity?
I'm gravity sensitive. But yeah, no, food's great. Especially great food. Like quality food. I think I definitely like cooking as an art form as well. It's very worthy of it. Anyways, Dale, how many reels would you give this out of 10?
This one, man, like I want to give it a high number, but I can't, because with the amount of like I couldn't get into it half the time. So I'm gonna probably have to give it like I'll give it a 5.
Ooh, that's lower than I thought.
5 out of 10 reels.
Pat?
10 out of 10. Everything I expected out of Orson Welles.
Jeff, how many reels?
I'll probably give it a 3.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or wait, no. Sorry, hold on. You said 5, right?
I said 5.
Okay, I'll give it 4. I was gonna give 1 less than him, and I thought he said 4, so that's why I said 3. But no, I'll give it a 4.
And then obviously I give it a 10 out of 10 as well. Alright.
Wow.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in.
Don't die in the fires.
Don't let Orson Welles eat you.
Don't forget to tune into the podcast every Newsflash Friday for general movie news, and Silver Screen Sunday like today for our weekly movie review with a guest. Here's looking at you, kid.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.